Please you can go home and have a good night's sleep.
High school will be presenting a modern version of Cinderella on April 9th, 10th, and 11th. We welcome you guys all to come. 8th and 9th are night performances, and on Sunday the 10th is a afternoon performance. I'd like to congratulate Medea Davis for placing at the offshore of Monmouth and Ocean County Festival for chorus. I would like to let you guys all know that there will be a track meet tomorrow at the high school for the girls and the boys versus Thailand at 3:45. More than 200 juniors and seniors are going to Edison for a college fair. We'll be putting in for approval for a trip for juniors and seniors academically on track to go to the Camus camp, which they camp. And freshmen and sophomores will be going to Blue Claws for a baseball game. The SATs at the high school will be May 7th. We're trying to get all the juniors signed up to do them as part of the SAT initiative. And congratulations to Arangi Holmes for being named Coach of the Year for all-field basketball team.
Thank you very much. The recognition of the public. Michael, you have the list?
Yes, I'm sorry. Laura Mandel.
Good evening, Baruch Mandel, 122 Tudor Court. A few questions. First of all, at the board meeting May 17th, 2010, the superintendent stated that the 2010-2011 budget would be insufficient to provide a T&E education. And it seems that the superintendent has come around to a different way of thinking that this budget that the superintendent proposed doesn't really have any increases. And I wanted to know how you came to this realization, and going forward, how you're planning to provide a T&E education. Number two, at the last meeting, we said that there was going to be 2 estimates done to see if we need a roof or the 2 estimates done, and what did they come up with. And number 3, I think I've been up here 3 times already about the 90-minute delays. And I think each time was a little bit different answer, but I think the way I understand it now is from the last time that we have some sort of agreement with other districts that if there's even if there's no snow emergency here, but if it's snowing in a different district, that they come before us and we get a 90-minute delay. Just wondering, maybe a legal opinion, are we allowed to cancel busing because there's an emergency in another district, or delay busing? Like, let's say it wouldn't be snowing over there. Let's say they would have a late basketball game, and therefore they would want a 90-minute delay. Would we be allowed to have a 90-minute delay? I understand that for a snow emergency, we're allowed to cancel busing or delay busing, but what about if we don't have a snow emergency, just they have a snow emergency? Would that allow us to cancel the busing? Thank you.
With regard to your first question regarding a thorough education, one of the things I'm very happy to report to the assemblage here is that the board and I, and we didn't always see eye to eye on many, many issues, we've worked diligently and I tell you painstakingly over the last month. And we have come up with a budget that I believe does represent a thorough and efficient education. And let me talk to you about why I think that. It ensures that we do not eliminate any educational programs. All the programs are maintained. And very importantly, and it's essential, if you know, if you look at the research, this is the most essential of all. There will be no layoffs of staff. And we will continue our after-school programs. In many districts, the after-school programs are paid for by students. In our district, they are not. The after-school programs will continue to be at no cost. And so consequently, given all the work that we did in the past month, I'm very happy to report that I believe that we will be, hopefully, passing a budget that I believe is a thorough and efficient, will offer children a thorough and efficient education at no cost, and we won't lose any of the pedagogical services. So that's my answer to that. With regard to roofs, we will let our BA address that, and the 90-minute delay, Mr. Kakakabas is here.
Thank you, Ms. Silva. The district did obtain not only 2 roof reports, but we did get a third, each by certified architects. And the actual cost estimate from the Spiesel Group came to $2,819,950. Okay, that includes the soft costs of $650,758, and the base roof was $2,169,192. But the total estimate from the Spiesel Group, $2.8 million.
We will, if the assemblage, I'm sorry.
We did have a second roof report that came in, and the base roof estimate was between the amounts of $2,055,024 to $2,283,360. Both architects would recommend that the useful life of the roof is well far gone, and that the roof does need to be replaced. The third roof report did come in. They did not give an actual estimate as to how much it would cost to replace the roof, but they also did write in the report that the entire roof has passed the serviceable lifetime for a typical well-installed bird-style roof. Best course of action is to remove the existing failing roof, replace and repair any underlying damage to both the roof sheathing and structural support members, and install a new roof to correct the ponding, sagging, and buckling issues. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Elmore.
I also want, as per the direction of the board, we will be looking for additional estimates in order to be very conscientious of our spending. So we are continuing to look for the best possible quality work at the best cost. And with regard to the 90-minute delay, Mr. Gus?
Yes. I will reiterate what I have said in the past about the 90-minute delay and how freehold and how affect and are affected by Lakewood's schedule. As I said before, the shared services concept goes into our busing schedule. And the reason that is done is, as you know, our current tier structure is very heavy at the 9 o'clock time. We have a disproportionate number of buses that are being used at the 7 and 8 o'clock times, but at 9 o'clock there's an extraordinarily heavy load for Lakewood. And the way we're able to provide transportation, in particular to the non-publics, who have an $884 threshold that we can't exceed, the way we're able to do that is to share our buses with our neighbors of Freehold and Howe. Coming with that shared agreement comes the obligation that there is a shared requirement that if one of those 3 constituents has a shortened day due to weather, inclement weather, the other 2 constituent districts are going to have to abide by it, because you can virtually not have a school bus be at 2 places at the same time. So it's just a matter of simple logistics. If we want to benefit from the shared service method that we're currently using, with the Lakewood buses also being used by Freehold and Howe in order to keep costs down, we also have to have the occasional, and I say occasional because it appears historically it is usually around 4 to 6 times a year that we have delayed openings. For that slight inconvenience, there's a tremendous benefit both to the taxpayers and to the parents by having a reduced cost of transportation and in fact buses being provided to children instead of checks.
Carol Cousins. Is Carol here?
That came.
I know they're trying to get rid of her. Carol Cousins, Lakewood Education Association. I want to say thank you to Mrs. Micchio. Mrs. Micchio was on the board when I was first hired in 1977, and she's still here. So, and I want to say thank you for your support.
All I can say is you served the district very well.
Thank you. I grew up here. I also want to say thank you to the other board members that I have worked with through the years as well, Mr. Ostreicher, Mr. Grunhut, Mr. Tiff, Mr. Silva, and the new board members, although I've not worked with you very long, you know, I'm sure that you will serve everyone very well. And Ada, I forgot. I can't see Ada because the poll is here. So, but as I move forward, I'm sure you all know at this point that I'm retiring. The Lakewood Education will be in very good hands with Janice Bosky. And the members that are still here, that you see sitting here today, Lakewood is a very different school system than when I started in it in 1977, and Michael, you can attest to that. My children went through the Lakewood Public Schools, and I find that we are doing a lot more with less professional development, less money, less collaboration, less communication, and most importantly, there's less respect for the job that the staff members perform in the classroom every day. Now, I was watching the presentations this evening, and I guess I'm totally befuddled. That's a word that I use sometimes, befuddled. Because there was those presentations show that there's some very positive things happening in the Lakewood Public Schools, and I want to thank every teacher that's here tonight for all. Every teacher, every secretary, every parent. Thank you for what you do. And the nurses, Millie Fritz, I want to thank you for what you do. For some reason, I walked in here tonight, I really was in a very negative mood. For 36 days, I've been home with a bad foot from surgery, and every day I hear something negative, something negative, something negative. And last week I had a meeting with our Honorable Senator Singer, and he's lucky that I know him very well because he sat next to me. I was about to punch his lights out last week, and I'll tell you why. I'm sitting at a meeting at Jackson Liberty High School, beautiful building, all right? And he starts talking about educational issues, and he mentions Lakewood, and of course he starts, well, we have 6 failing schools. If I hear that one more time, because we all know where we are. But I'm not so sure that everyone that says that we have 6 failing schools understands what 6 failing schools really means. It bothers me. Because, you know, if I walked into a classroom every day and said, I got 6 failing kids in here, I got 6 failing kids in here, where is the positiveness? I thought we were supposed to act on the positive and work with the negative. And I don't see that happening. Something's wrong. Something is seriously wrong, and I'm really bothered by it. And I hope that at some point someone fixes it. Because the things that I've heard at the board meetings, and I read, and I see, and all I know about are cuts. Cuts, 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 cuts. Because see, I've lived through the cuts. So even though I'm leaving, and I'm taking 34 years of history with me, someone will still know. Because I'm going to hang around to see what happens. Because as I've said to some people, I'm going to say it to you all as board members, and I honestly believe this. See, because I believe in you treat people the way you want to be treated. And I'm going to tell you this, because I saw this in a movie once, and I want you to believe it. Until you do right by the children and the teachers in the Lakewood public schools, no good will come to this school system.
Wilson Santos. Now, it says here Bacamas. So you're not a resident of Lakewood. So, 1 minute. Do you want to address the board? Okay, well then we need a special motion. If you don't live here, we do allow people as time who don't live here to address the board. Well, apparently he writes the commas here, and apparently on your agenda is the commas. So I would be a betting man and say he's probably going to speak about the commas. Would that be fair?
No, I can speak about the community.
Well, no. That you can, if the board so allows you, to address them. That's their call, because we will be adjusting board policy. You do not reside here, I assume. Okay. So if the board would like to hear from Mr. We've done this before.
I'd like to make a motion to have it speak, because we have done it in the past.
We have. The lady from
I'll second that.
Asbury. Okay, we have the first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
It's your 4 minutes, sir.
Well, thank you. I'm not from Lakewood. State your name and address. Wilson Santos, Program Director of Vacations Programs for Youth Community-Based Organization. No, you're correct. I'm not from Lakewood. I don't reside in Lakewood. But I've been in Lakewood enough thus far to be able to see some of the things that I, as a person, as a passerby, feel that need to be addressed. Whether it's in the school system, in the community, but the school system itself. As part of the committee that worked on the SIG grant and the many conversations that have taken place, I see the need for many of the points that the young lady before me addressed, and she's been here since 1977. I was born in 1973, so I was only 4 years old since she's been around here. Now, as I sit back and I look at the community, and I do community work, which is my job, is to go out, look at what's going on within the community, and then highlight those issues that I see need to be addressed. There was a phenomenal job done earlier in highlighting some of the works that the kids are doing in our community. And yes, thank you to the teachers and everybody that's supporting them. And I think that as a community, we need to come together when we look at a grant like the SIG grant, which allows us to reform the high school, but we need to look at the entire picture. What is it that we're doing as a trend from the elementary, middle, and high school that are affecting our high school population? Our high school is a failing school, but that's not the end of it. That's just the beginning. As long as we highlight what it is that's going on and we provide opportunities for our kids, I think they stand a fighting chance. And we need to do that as a community, whether I live here or not. My job is to make sure that those things are brought to the table and made available to our kids, whether it's Vacations Programs for Youth that does it as a community-based organization or any other community as long as we're able to bring to the table an opportunity for our kids to have a chance to do better and be the best that they can. That's all I ask. And no, I don't have to live here to see that need. That need is here now, and we need to make sure that it's brought to the table.
Thank you. William Hobday.
Go Hobday, 30 Schoolhouse Lane. The roof is a little bit bothersome. I see we've got 2 estimates, but that's a major undertaking, and it takes a great deal of time to do. So time is of the essence from when school lets out until school begins. I'm going to assume that we have no choice other than to replace it. So if that is the case, are we financially able to do this through either bonding and or cash, or however we intend to do this in the timeline that is going to be necessary when children are not at school? That's number one. Number two, we had an address by our student representative again tonight. It was wonderful. We need to honor her, and we need to get her name as student representative on the agenda. She takes her time. to come and tell us about what is happening in the school. That's wonderful. We need to pay her that respect. The 6th grade Scholars Academy. I was so privileged to be invited to go over and spend some time with the school, walked around the classes, introduced to the teachers, watched those young students learning, engaged, happy, willing to give up their day off to be there, to take on additional education. That's so commendable that they did that. There's no busing for this. They get there because the parents made sure that they get there on their own. The teachers are without contract.
Bill, sorry, but there is busing.
I'm sorry. I thought that the students I saw were walking in themselves.
We may have a few walkers left.
Okay. The SIG grant. I hope we get it. This is another step in that wonderfully right direction. Personalize it. Get the class sizes down. Make sure that we have a curriculum for any and all student that wants to go one direction or another. That's wonderful. With that additional money, that could be a major step towards the right direction. I think we can, if we get the grant, we're going to get there. I also believe that in the next 3 years, with the things that I'm seeing with this board and this administration, that Lakewood School District will no longer be a failing district. I predict in 3 years or so, it will be not only a passing district, but it will achieve marvelous results. I predict that. I think that everything that I see being done here is terrific, is great for the students. The administration is working hard. The teachers are working hard. Parents are working hard. Students are working hard. That's all the stakeholders that are needed to make this a success, and I see it as a success coming. Last and final issue. I wonder if we should look at the contract to say maybe the bus companies that service other districts and ours, if there's a weather event somewhere else, we couldn't do our students first and then take the buses to the districts with the weather. No. Okay.
He said no.
Just a question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just so you know, it was the gentleman in the back who said no. But anyway, now we go to Annette Kearney. Annette is here. I did see her. Annette, you're up.
Annette Kearney. I just have a couple of questions. November 2010, the parents received a letter indicating that the district was in need. It was also stated in the letter that there would be capital reviews for the high school, the middle school, and Clark School. My question is, have those reports been posted? If not, when will they be posted so the public can see all reports from the state? Second would be, on today's agenda, under superintendent's items, A4.
Can you just get us to the page?
Page 6. A4. To have the approval for the student to attend Jackson Liberty. My question is not about the student themselves, but what criteria is it that Jackson Liberty has that Lakewood High School doesn't have? And is it something that other Lakewood High School students could take advantage of to be sent to a school of choice if that's the right goal?
Are those your questions?
With the IEP profile. That completes my question.
Ms. Superintendent?
With regard to your question about the posting of the capital reports, I would have to check to see if we're allowed to. They're not up, but I will check. If they're allowed to, then I'm going to have them posted. But at this point, I'm not clear about that. With regard to number 4, the one you indicated.
If I may address that.
Wonderful.
If you are a visual learner, I would draw it, but of course today the board is not here. We need to look at the least restrictive environment mandate. And what that does is the inner circle, if you would be the local high school. In this case, we have one high school. And we would have the child study team in coordination with the parent would determine if that program and placement is appropriate. Only if they determine that program and placement is not appropriate do we go to the next circle, which comes before out-of-district placements, that is state-approved schools for the disabled. But the law does require us to look at other high schools in the area if it's a high school-age child. Actually, to the credit of the former county superintendent, Dr. Bruce Greenfield, he actually created a website where all districts in Ocean County, before they place a child in a state-approved private school for the disabled, whether it be Collier, Alpha, high school age, Shy, you're supposed to enter in information without the student's name to see it, it automatically pops up, if you will. In this case, from what I understand from reading the backup here, in fact, the student, first of all, is a special ed student. So it's not like there are students who are regular ed who want to go to Liberty High School. Well, that's nice. They can move to Jackson if they want to go there. But as far as special ed students, what it appears here is that the IEP team, this is the public school student, did review the appropriate or the placements available at our high school and found them not to be appropriate for this child, and thus they then plugged in the county website, got Liberty High School, they went and looked at it apparently, and that was appropriate for that child, which was an IEP team decision. But just so we're clear, it's not a regular ed student, because then, of course, we'll have people saying, why him and not this one? It was based on that child's individualized needs. Okay. Sorry, the next person, I apologize. If I'm saying this wrong, I apologize. Julia Luna. Maybe that was just someone signing up that they're here. Julia Luna, or Julia Luna. Oh, that was the kid. Okay, that's what I thought. Dr. Rush.
Good evening. There was once when I came to speak to the board that I didn't need a paper, but because of my age, you know, I have to remember what I'm going to say. So please excuse me if I read a couple of things. But Michael, you'll get there one day, hopefully. So don't laugh at me. First of all, the presentations, the student presentations, I thought that was...
It's not me calling.
Okay. I thought that was really well done, well prepared. Hands to the teachers, hands to the students and the parents of those young people. I just wish that we would do more of that. So you as board members can see what our young people are doing, and to echo what Mrs. Cousins said, yes, in every school system in the United States, you may have some teachers who are not as good as other teachers. But instead of me saying that Lakewood has 6 failing schools, Lakewood have 6 good schools with some issues that we all know about. And perhaps maybe the board should explain, or the superintendent at one of the meetings, explain what happens when you become a failing school. You have 42 indicators. And if you don't do well on one of those indicators, which could mean an out-of-district student in a behavior program who's not doing well, then your school is labeled in need. So perhaps we could explain to the public what it means to be a failing school. Okay, that's one. I was on the grant committee, and I was glad that I was asked to be on the grant committee, so I think it's a great grant. I too wish we would get the grant, because we can do some extra things that should be done in Lakewood. So hopefully, Ms. Silva, that will go through and be a plus for the district. My biggest experience over the last couple of weeks, and I visited the Saturday school last Saturday. Now, I had gone by there because I worked with the program where our kids play basketball. So I'd seen the kids in the dance programs, but I had not seen the kids actually in the classroom. I was extremely, as Mr. Holiday said, I was extremely impressed. So to get 6th graders to come together on a Saturday, and Saturday was not a bad day. for them to sit in there and be totally engaged. That tells me we're doing a lot of things right in our district. Do we have problems? Yes. Can we do better? Yes. But we're doing a lot of right things. So I applaud the district and Dr. Deb for her foresight in putting that program together. Whatever happens if we don't get the grant, we got to continue that Saturday program because it's a transition for 6th graders who are going to come together in 7th grade. So that's a good program. If the board is aware that we're going to have the amount of people at a board meeting because of student presentations and other presentations, knowing that this is going to be a heated meeting, not a heated meeting, but a well-attended meeting, we should find another venue for the meeting. I say to the board president and to the superintendent, it's nice to have all the people here, but I had to sit down for a while. I was tired. But that's okay, but it should not be. Because we know right now we're in violation of the fire code. We are. So it's not fair if something were to happen and everybody's going to trample over everybody. So I'm just asking you next time to look at a different venue if you're going to have the amount of people you're going to have here. Okay? The last thing is upgrading facilities. I've been in Lakewood since 1979. And I have not seen much work take place at the high school and the middle school. And I know it is time for something to happen. So I'm going to ask the Buildings and Ground Committee, whoever's in charge of that, to look at what needs to be done in terms of upgrading the facilities so when something happens, we won't have to close school to do this, that, and the other. But that's very key, and I have not seen it take place yet, and I've been here since '79. Okay? Thank you.
Excuse me. Sir. I agree with you. I've only been here a year, but tomorrow we have a meeting, Dr. Deb, myself, and the Building and Grounds Committee, to go over numerous things that I also foresee, and Tracy was with me walking around. And I'm just going to give you just a couple because I agree with you 100%. At Campus 2, we're looking to possibly put a water supply line to run underground to the playground area for irrigation. At the annex, all stone areas should be paved for the ease of snow plowing and also to keep the cost of purchasing new stone every year down because of the snow cleanup. We want to put an irrigation system into the playground area to do plantings and activities. Ella Clark, this is how extensive the Building and Grounds Committee did this. At the Ella Clark School, the curbing and sidewalks need repair. They're in horrible shape. So we're looking to replace the sidewalks around the entire school. There's a large section of the playground area that needs to have drainage system installed. At present, that area holds a lot of water and is a mosquito breeding area. We want that repaired. The baseball and lacrosse fields have not been properly maintained in years and need plain grass areas replaced with new material. At the Clifton School, fencing all around the school needs to be repaired and replaced. At the high school, trees need to be removed along 7th Avenue, 7th Street, I'm sorry. The press box at the stadium needs metal roller gates installed. The wooden bleachers, the planks need to be repaired. We're going to install mulch under the bleach area so there's no grass cutting, which is going to save the district a lot of money. The main field needs to have an automated irrigation system installed. We have large areas of sidewalk and curbing that need to be replaced around the entire high school. And then at the middle school, mulch is, we're going to replace mulch around the entire school. Oak, we have numerous issues, spruce, and then we have miscellaneous. We have been on top of this, and we'll actually be working with the Township Committee and the Department of Public Works on a shared basis for the first time. So that should save us a lot of money for the district to do other things with funds.
Thank you.
Baruch Blue Sebastian, I'm sorry.
Or Blaustein, 109 7th Street. I wanted to start off by saying that I think it is a privilege, an honor and a privilege that our children's artwork is in the county and by the state, but I think we should have a copy over here, maybe right on top of Go Lakewood. I think it's a good thing to have. I wanted to, just in case anybody in the crowd doesn't know, I am one of the candidates that's running for school elections this year. 7 out of the 11 candidates are present, and I wanted everybody to know, I've mentioned this already to the superintendent, and it has been published, that there is going to be an open forum for all Board of Education candidates and the public to attend. It's this upcoming Sunday, April 3rd at 7 p.m. Currently, they scheduled it at Park Terrace. Its event is being sponsored by Lakewood246.com, a new Lakewood blog, and you could send questions to them, info@Lakewood246.com. I have spoken to Lakewood246.com and to the superintendent to get this switched to the high school because I think we will have a big crowd there, and I think everybody should attend. And whether you guys believe me or not, I actually want to hear from the public. So try me, please come. I'm basing my career and my candidacy on listening, not dictating. And
do you have any questions for the board?
No, not really.
All right, so
Sorry, Mr. Gladstone, please don't take it the wrong way, but if there's no question, we'll thank you for coming.
We've got 4 minutes. Give us 4 minutes.
Michael, I know that you did tell me that you don't want tonight to be a candidate night, and that's why I'm trying to let the public know that we will be having this, and I want them to know about it. And one last thing, and I will sit down. Ms. Silva, I did ask you if we could arrange that the candidates should be able to go around the public schools. I think it's a real necessity now that we're having me the candidate night, and since 7 out of 11 are here, I think we can work something out tonight after the meeting to work it out like this. The candidates could actually see what's going on in our schools before the Meet the Candidate night this Sunday, and I hope we can work something out.
Mr. Gladstein, I wasn't telling you to stop. I don't know, Mr. Grant. You have 4 minutes. You can make whatever statements you want.
Oh, I could?
That's my legal ruling.
Okay.
It is a public section, so.
And one other thing that I wanted to say, and that is that I hope to personally invite Mr. Scott Colabello, the Ocean County Clerk. I have spoken to him twice over the last few weeks, and I hope he'll attend. I think he would be honored to attend. I just don't know if he'll be able to fit into his schedule, but I hope he can come and to explain to people about voting, registering to vote, voting by mail, all the frequently asked questions that are related to that. So I really think it's going to be an interesting event, and I hope we could get the switch to the Lakewood High School because I really think the Lakewood High School might be too small. I don't know. Maybe we're going to need to move this to Blue Claws. I don't know. So, and again, if the public really cares, I think they should come because everybody's saying that they care. Well, here's an opportunity for the public to come to a non-Board of Ed event and to voice their opinion, and they can ask all their questions to the new Board of Ed candidates, so you can't have any hard feelings against them, because most of them aren't current board members. So I hope everybody comes, and I love to see everybody.
Thank you. Pastor Glenn Wilson. Pastor Glenn Wilson did sign up. Frederick, I cannot. That's it for the evening.
Mr. Chair. Quick announcement. Very quick announcement.
Yeah.
He doesn't live in Lakewood. Make a motion. It's I request to, and it's not controversial, so I would like to speak. I didn't put my name on, but there was a gentleman that doesn't even live in town.
Well, they would have.
It's only you.
Brad,
it's not controversial.
Fred, it can be whatever you want, but 1 minute.
Okay.
There is a rule that you have to sign in.
You know what? You guys took that book away, and the meeting started.
Excuse me, sir. I don't need your assistance. There is a rule.
I understand.
Hear me out. Hear me out. We know each other for many years. You did not sign in. If the board wants to waive that, they have the right to do that. But you did not sign in.
Can I make a motion to him speak? Because it was kind of cloudy here to listen to everything.
I'm not saying not. I'm just.
I'll make a motion to have him speak. Second, please. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor? Frederick, come up. And
Good evening, board.
And you do live in Lakewood.
And I didn't come to be controversial, but I would tell you, Mr. Fink, we were also talking about some of the infrastructure, not the baseball field and some of those things. But we also look at those things. But the other thing I want to make an announcement about, that there's going to be a series of 6 workshops, and the first one being April the 30th of non-violent workshops. I think it's going to be at the high school. You'll see a lot of literature on it, and so make sure that the public is well publicized and the public is invited. You'll see a lot more, even in the schools. So I just want to make sure that I'm sure you've heard about it, Michael. So we'd like to make sure that
if you could get to
Dr. Rush will do that.
Okay, if you could get Dr. Rush or whatever.
Yeah.
If he could can you get us those 6 dates and we can post it on the website?
Yeah, we're working.
Mr. Rush,
what day was that?
April 30th.
We're working with the school system, your superintendent, we're working.
No, I know, but we want to have it on the website, so.
Definitely. See, that wasn't so bad.
I never think you're bad. Your bark's bigger than your bite, baby. Okay. Okay. That ends the evening of the public comment as far as I have on this list.